my mental palate is being satisfied while I'm actually getting something in my stomach. And I think that really, it's a lot of it is mental, unfortunately. Okay, here we are with episode 1 of Fun, Fit, and Fasting with my good friend, producer, and killer, just all around guy, George Chandler. This is Dwayne Golden, and we're excited today in episode 1 to cover a topic I think it's something that's not talked about enough. Most people, most human beings wing it, and the reality is it's hard enough having a paradigm shift in your lifestyle to the point of how you eat, sleep, and your new tailored do's and don'ts. That if you travel and you're in a hotel or you're on a train or you're on a plane, how do you adjust when it's been 4 or 5 hours since you've eaten? That's what we're talking about today. And George, speaking of this, you're a man that you do, I don't know how many thousands of miles do you do a year?
I got no.
You don't even measure.
No.
Okay,
So yeah, I am on a plane just about every week. I'll just say
a
that.
plane every week going to a new territory or a different territory, within probably a 500-mile range, your different territories. That's my guess. I don't really know for sure. And it varies over the years. But what's interesting is doing that every week, that means even though you're an intermittent faster, you're a person that chooses to not put certain things into your body, it becomes a huge challenge. This is my guess. On a plane, I know my own personal experiences on planes. I was a sucker my entire flying life, right? I don't think I've been on a plane in 6 or 7 months, but in that time frame, I'm stuck. The old days, they gave you meals, but the last couple of years, my Pringles, my M&Ms, and the little dinky bottle of water and lots of Coca-Cola and coffee, I didn't have a good opportunity to adjust with my intermittent fasting and my time frames and the kind of stuff I did eat. Just talk to us about it, what it's like now for you. I know that you do keto and you also do intermittent fasting, and you really you're somewhat of a champion for us guys that are over 55. Tell us a little bit about what is your motto? What is your method? What do you do? Or do you just give in every time? What's it like for you?
No, so it takes some forethought, right? It takes some planning, I will say. So, as far as so I do a lot of dinner meeting with customers, lunches, dinners, breakfast. So, I try and take those things into account and plan accordingly. So, yeah.
Well, what do you, so my question is though, what do you do? Like, I mean, honest to God. Now, here's the thing about flying, and maybe it's not like that for you, but typically, on the day that I fly, there's always a bump or two in the road. One may be I get a text message saying, hey, your flight schedule's been moved a little bit. Now, I already left home to get to the airport at a certain time, and then they move it back or up, or however you say that, by an hour and a half to 2 hours, and now I'm that much longer without eating. I'm walking around in the airport, sitting, and I have to walk past all of these cheesesteak, TGI Fridays, different types of places, no matter what time of day. For me, those hiccups make me hungry than themselves, let alone not having many options. So how do you handle that kind of thing if it happens to you?
Okay, yeah. So, if you are going to eat, make sure that it's keto friendly,
Okay.
right? So that means low carb.
Well, that's if you're keto, right? If some people are just intermittent fasting and they just prefer not to overdo certain things.
Correct.
So what options do we have?
Correct. Yeah. So, water is a big thing. When you're traveling, I'll just say that you're getting on these airplanes, even before getting on the airplane, water is a big thing. So make sure that you're well hydrated because, you and I have talked offline, and I know you know this. Hunger or thirst often masks itself as hunger, right? So just to make sure that you're well hydrated is really, really important.
Okay. All right. Well, so here's a question though. When it comes to the water, in Colombia we have this stuff called fire water, right? Aguardiente. Would that help? Would that count?
If you're referring to alcohol, no.
Hey, I had to ask. Sorry, I couldn't pass it up.
Yeah.
Yeah, oftentimes the airport bumps in the road. It isn't about having a true hunger. Oftentimes it's that monkey see, monkey do. There's so many things that hits us in the face. I'm not joking. I'm walking past someone with the most amazing looking subway put together thing that they put together, or I'm walking past. I see a sit-in restaurant, and I see someone with the fresh eggs, bacon, or whatever. I'm not even supposed to eat for 2 or 3 hours, but it makes me hungry. I mean, do you have any mental disciplines or something you put on for that kind of thing, or am I just a rare bird
No,
that
no,
I'm
no,
just
no.
easily
No,
tempted?
everyone has those. Everyone
Okay,
has.
I was gonna say.
So yeah. So again, it's. I think it's. Now I'm not going to sit here and say that every single time I, resisted the temptation. No, that's not the case. But I think the thing is, yeah, you try and resist. Water's a good one, or tea. Uh, Sweetened with, again, my favorite is stevia. I know you have your favorite that you like, but something that will kind of distract you. I mean, they got the gum as well. You try that, but water I think is a big one, and being able to walk away and uh, distract yourself and whatever works for you. There's a lot of ways to do that. Or there's
I like that, George. I like that because for me, it's the absence of being prepared that makes me give in. So when you talk about replacing with something like water, right? And water is something you can pretty much get anywhere. Some airplanes actually you may have trouble if you only have cash and didn't bring your credit card or something. But for the most part, I think substitution is going to be one of the biggest things, even no matter what type of traveling it is. I'm thinking right now, if you're talking about teas, right? For those of us who maybe said, you know what, I'm done. I'm going to minimize the sugar or not use it. I'm going to use a substitute. Or in some cases, for me, I'm weird. I take sometimes my own hot sauce. I put different things in my own my little package, and I like swerve. I can do
yeah,
stevia too, or sweet, or
yeah.
do leafly something
Work
like
too.
that.
Yeah,
But do you find that when you have some ammunition with you, it's a little bit easier to resist?
absolutely. Absolutely. So
So
yeah. So and let me just bring up one thing. So
yeah,
I mentioned tea, but as you know, I'm not a coffee drinker, but I know you are. I know you love your coffee. So
it's what the color
that's
of
an
my teeth.
option as well.
Is it my brown teeth that's giving that away?
uh,
Okay.
so
Well,
yeah. So coffee is a good one too. Unsweet, right? Or with what, heavy cream or a little bit of cream is okay.
yeah,
Uh,
and like you said, with stevia or leaf drops or whatever someone uses.
right.
Yeah, so that helps a lot because now my mental palate is being satisfied while I'm actually getting something in my stomach, and I think that really it's a lot of it is mental, unfortunately,
It is.
and nothing can throw you off like traveling. I mean, from sleep, eating,
Amen.
anything related to your circadian rhythm, you get thrown off, and
Yes.
so, uh, you know, even though I don't fly as much as I used to fly all over the world, right? I don't do it as much. At that time, though, I was at my heaviest. My traveling mate for me, I was like, hey, every meal, every meeting was a meal, and every layover was another meal. And then, of course,
Mm,
an addition to the layover meant more snacks. That was my life, right? And it took me over the top. But the last year and a half or so, my wife and I have been traveling on the ground, meaning we're trying to catch every state in the Union of the United States. And in those travels, similar things happen. The original place you had to stop to make sure you can get over and do your eating and so forth, that exit was detoured. The next exit's not coming up for a night. The next place that you can get where you eat the kind of things you eat, maybe 90 miles or much further. What do you do? So what we've learned to do, we have those same substitutes that we just talked about going on the airplane. We make sure we have specific things in the cab with us, not taxi, but in our cab, in
oh,
our truck.
yep.
And the beauty is, oh my goodness, where we used to get rid of those last 90 miles with my favorite Lay's potato chips, a couple bags of those, my favorite Cheez Its, right? Then uh, cheese curls, not the Cheetos, Yeah, Cheetos, not cheese curls, Cheetos, the crunchier ones. I
Yeah.
would find those types of things with maybe a Snapple, and before you know it, I've given myself in those 90 miles more carbs and more calories than I would have in having one meal. I'd give myself enough to give myself 2.5 meals because of those snacks. So traveling is a real booger. It's one of the reasons for this specific episode because none of us talked about it. If I could have learned, I could have watched a podcast or listened to a podcast like this, I could have actually had some tips of how to get by it. So, what suggestions do you have? I know one I'm thinking about right now, but I'd love to hear what kind of things you do along the lines of substitutes that aren't really condiments, but they're more of maybe how do you replace your potato chips and your uh, in your case popcorn? How do you do you exchange that or substitute it?
So yeah, Dwayne, I know you know popcorn is my kryptonite, if you will. So that is my weakness. But yeah, so chips. So I know some people. I know somebody who likes pork rinds. I am not a fan, but what I have found, they have these Parmesan chips, right? That to me are a good substitute for chips for me. So these
You
Parmesan,
said Parmesan chips.
yeah,
You
yeah,
buy those?
yes. Or you
Oh,
can make it too. You
yeah,
can
we
make
even
it.
make them. I didn't know you could buy them. You gotta tell me about this. So tell me about the Parmesan chip.
See, I don't have the bag here. I'd have to
Oh,
run down to the kitchen and get it. But there's these like
it's
chips.
okay. This kind of thing you only tell your friends and family. That's probably why I don't know. So maybe I could find out by watching or listening to the episode. Sorry, but
Oh,
how long has this been out, man?
they've been out a while. So oftentimes you'll see them like they'll put them on Caesar salad per se, right? I've seen them on
Okay,
Caesar salad. They'll like sprinkle them on there, little like wafer type things.
so
But
they're
it's just
crunchy
yeah, yeah,
and they're
crunchy
all
and
cheese. They're all cheese. They're not bread.
correct. All
Oh
cheese,
my goodness. Okay,
salty, yeah,
that's what I'm looking
crunchy.
for.
Yep, yep. So maybe we put the brand that I get at my grocery store.
So
Maybe
actually,
we keep that
wait, wait,
in
wait,
the notes,
stop,
right?
stop, 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 stop. Excuse me, everybody,
Uh,
but I want our listeners to catch on to this. So the only way I can get good stuff out of George is if we air a episode. I have to go to podcasts to find out these types of things. What a shameful thing. And I get it. This is the kind of thing you tell your friends, but you can tell me too, dude, because I mean, at least I'm on the podcast with you. Gosh,
uh,
man, I don't know. I'm done
I'm
being
sorry.
angry. Go ahead. You finish. I'm done being angry. Go
Certainly.
ahead. Tell us
I,
about it.
that is not my intent. So apologies, sir.
Yeah. Okay, go ahead.
So let's see what else. Yeah, so that is my substitute. I'll say for chips. So
But do you travel with it? Are you just telling us that, or is it something you actually use?
yeah, you travel with it. Absolutely. So yeah, because I will say this: I have not found them in airports, right?
Okay.
So it's something you definitely want to put in your carry-on bag, right, for a little snack.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
yeah,
Okay. Well,
and
I
that's
just
the
learned something.
preparation part that we talked about, right?
Yeah, 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 yeah. No, I love that. So here's what I've been dealing directly with um, pork rinds because they have zero carbs and zero sugars, and I know you hate those, right? I dig it. That's why I brought it up. I want to get you back and give you something you hate, but I need a crunch. It's weird, the mental thing, because I grew up my entire life always having something to crunch. If I'm going to eat a sandwich, it's just nice to have some chips or pretzel or something like that. And so it's not about needing it as a nutrient, but I'd rather replace it with something that's going to have zero impact or minimal impact on my ability to be burning actual fat rather than burning calories that I put in my body. And so for me, that's huge. Now, my wife does make some mean chips, different types. One of them is pepperoni chips. She literally, we use an air fryer. She puts them on some, like I think it's wax paper or some sort of paper like that. She puts them in, and between them, she puts like Colby Jack cheese and then another layer of pepperonis, a whole lot of those on a sheet. And you put them
Mm.
in the air fryer to I forgot how many minutes, and they get crunchy. And then if we're gonna eat snack while we eat a movie, guess what we're doing? We're eating
Nice.
something that feeds that mental appetite, but yet is not destroying our bodies and allows us to continue to burn fat. So those are some of the tips. But I love the Parmesan chip thing. I was actually getting ready to Google it because I want to know. I want to figure out where to get it. I'm not going to rely on you. You're useless for that kind of thing. Now I see it. Hey, I can order from Instacart everywhere else. Yeah, I
There,
get a bag.
there
I
you
just
go,
got to
man.
read the back and make sure you're not going to poison me.
Oh, come on. I would not do that to you.
As George Chandler says, not intentionally, as if that matters. I'm dead anyway. Uh, the idea of traveling, it's something we all do. And in fact, since 2020, since the COVID-19 epidemic, I'd say folks were quarantined, and literally the rubber band or the rebound effect has been that folks are getting around more often, and going to the standard 9 to 5 a lot less. So people are available to travel more now because they work while they're traveling.
Mm-hmm.
And if you want to be healthy, if you want to maintain that physique that you've been working on, or that figure, ladies, if you want to maintain it, you can while you travel. And that's what we're talking about today. How can you do it? Doesn't matter if you are Atkins, keto, if you are intermittent fasting, or just someone you just want to be more healthy. Maybe all you're doing is minimizing your portions. You can find ways to do it. Healthy snacking while you travel. Travel and do it well, or as they used to say in the old days, is travel well. You can travel well nutritionally, and that's why what we're talking about today. My good friend and partner George Chandler. George, there are folks who travel differently. I did something recently. Surprise! I took a train to New York City. Every five, it feels like every 5 minutes, probably like every 10 to 15 minutes, a train stops. All these new people get on, and every time someone gets on, they have some bag with them, or they have some food, or some guy finally gets to sit down and he's going to finish his lunch. And what I found is, I like to get up and walk. I have like ADD in the worst way, so I get up and walk, and before you know it, I'm in a train car that's offering food. I'm not even hungry, but now I am because I saw a couple people eating. Then there's someone asking, "Do you want anything? I could buy myself like a $20 sandwich or something." They got on trains, they got it all. That was a joke, but I'm really serious. Everything is like inflated by 4 or 5 times.
I
So
get
it sounds to me like these Parmesan chips and these other things that are available are going to be a great option. So I think what we ought to do is, in conclusion to this idea of how to travel well, certainly we should make sure we list in our description here of the podcast many options and some links where you can get access to some of these really cool things, like the chips that George has talked about, and as well as the pork rinds and the different crisps, whether they're keto or whatever versions that have taste. Where I don't like the idea of giving something that's really bland and it's like you're eating cardboard. I don't think it's fair. Even though those things are better for you, we want to give you options that you actually would live with. We can give you things you're not going to like, and you're never going to touch it. It's a waste.
right.
So anyway, so George, over the next month, I bet you if you started tracking, there's an app. It's called, I forgot the name of it. I have an app that it tracks all my miles of my flights, right? And it
Hmm.
shows you in the air on a map how far you're going, where you're going. Recommend you get it out. I'm gonna go look it up and get it over to you, because if you did that, now all of a sudden you can start realizing your how often you're on the road and how often your routine is broken up. I'm a routine dude, and when my routine's thrown off, I'm thrown off. Right? I'm flat-footed. I'm not saying you are, but I imagine because it's an everyday challenge, you're probably stronger at this new lifestyle for 55 and up than a lot of the rest of us, because you have to fight regularly. For those of us who are in the same location much of the time, it's a pretty easy to establish a routine. So you could be the judge of that, but I'm guessing you probably don't have to. You don't pig out on ice cream as soon as you have some tragic thing happen, and you don't find yourself digging into strawberry shortcake or whatever your desires may be.
So I'll say that didn't happen overnight. right? So, this has been an ongoing thing. You and I have talked about this, offline, and the fact that, I've been doing keto, intermittent fasting on and off for a number of years, but, I've gotten to the point where I'm really serious about it now, right?
Okay.
Because
Okay.
health reasons, just looking good, feeling fit, right? Having
Mm-hmm,
fun,
mm-hmm. Yeah,
right? So,
exactly.
uh,
Speaking of that, so you were like at a concert last night, so I imagine you were showing it all off, right? They say if
uh,
you got it, flaunt it. So,
I'm not there yet.
okay.
I'm not trying to scare anybody.
The word on the street is you got on stage with Earth, Wind, and Fire, right? And started letting your fire loose there, right?
I will say they were on point. They put on a great show.
Okay. All right. Well, listen, I think that if anything, we need to stick together, us aging crew who love the idea of having the health and strength and balance we had in our 30s now, between 55 and older. And as we do that, I think there's nothing better we can do than encourage others who are trying to do the same, but don't realize there are options. So for our listeners, in episode one, you can always come back to this one as George and I are feeling our way around as we look for creative ways to encourage you in your battles and in your fight for a healthier future. So, George, any last minute tips that you want to give to anyone before we say goodbye?
So yeah, I think the thing is to really make sure that you're hydrated, right? And
Okay.
and we can talk about this at another episode is or a podcast is making sure that you have uh, the right supplements. So I think that's an important part as well. So, but we can talk about that at another time. I will
Man, you
also
said a mouthful there.
I know. I know.
Yeah. And if you're not, check with your doctor on supplements. If you don't get your labs done regularly, I believe you should. You should keep up with your
Right.
doctor's appointments because in this whole quest for being healthy, you can change your diet and do all these things, but if you have some systemic issues that you aren't being addressed, it, being mineral deficient is a big deal and it can affect you. So definitely check with your doctor and find out what supplements you should be on, if any. If you're 55 and older, you really should because we all of a lot of our minerals are naturally depleted, and our body's organs are now 5 decades old or 6 decades older. And guess what? It doesn't function the same. So find out what you should be on, and we certainly can let you know of different things that we do ourselves, and which is a great note for my tip. For me personally, my doctor one since I turned 50, um, maybe 48 or 50, 48, 50, maybe 55, maybe when I turned 55. I don't remember when my doctor told me, hey, Dwayne, you know what? I noticed something. You have to start taking like B12. You're deficient in certain elements, certain vitamins. And she's told me I need that one and potassium. I'm like, oh. And then the next time I went back, I didn't get them. She goes, did you start those yet? Start what? She goes, I told you were deficient. I'm like, crap. I didn't know. I was hoping it was a fluke. And not only wasn't it a fluke, it was worse when I went back. So I, from that day forward, I don't miss every day I take them. Then along the way, I found out because now I'm not eating all the other stuff I used to eat, there's other areas which I need to be supplemented. So I do a multivitamin. I do take, see, I went back and she told me you need vitamin D3. Now listen, for me, I'm a desk jockey. I've made my living as a consultant and in software indoors. I didn't get outside that much. And so I lacked a lot of what I needed in vitamin D. So she got to start taking vitamin D. And before you know it, I find myself, this is going to crack you up. I got one of those containers from the pharmacy that tells you every day of the week what you should be taking. And
Oh
I fill
yeah.
it up. I don't miss. And because of it, I'm able to certainly have a much better system. And a lot of the challenges I've had over the years are gone, thank God. But supplements are important. Your doctor, work with your doctor on what's best for you. If you don't have a
Right.
doctor, seek out an online doctor. They have a lot of MDs online who will gladly meet with you, right? But certainly do that as we look forward to help prepare you for episode two. This is Dwayne Golden and George Chandler coming your way with fun, fit, and fasting. We believe in intermittent fasting if you do nothing else. Make the distance between your last meal and your first meal the greatest, and you can begin to see changes almost immediately. Have a good day. Thanks for being with us, George. Peace out, bro. Stop
Take
leaving
care.
me out.